morning, everyone. Welcome to In My Toolbox, your weekly talk show on your personal finance, only here at PHLV Radio. The goal in this show, mga kaibigan, is to give you financial information that you may be able to use on your day-to-day financial decisions. So we will unbox topics that would hopefully aid you and guide you and maybe even add to your financial tools. So we will tackle important information mostly not taught in school, but it's so much needed to empower you financially. Mga kaibigan, as usual, in any idea that will transpire in the show, always consult with your financial advisors, insurance professionals, or tax consultants. Mga kaibigan, my name again is Enrico Pobre. You're listening to In My Toolbox. I'll be your host. I'm a sales, marketing, and trainer, an economist, an entrepreneur, and a financial professional. So if you have questions, well, ask them away. You will find a chat box below, or if you will be listening to this show on a later time, please feel free to connect with me through Facebook page In My Toolbox, or connect with me via Instagram or LinkedIn, or simply Google my name, Enrico Pobre. I bet you won't miss me, right? Or you can email me at enrico.inmytoolbox@gmail.com. And mga kaibigan, so it's another episode of In My Toolbox. We're talking about a lot of financial stuff for the last over a year or so. Today naman, we're going to be talking about fraud, schemes, scams that we can avoid. So what are these fraud, scams, and schemes that we have to avoid today? So basically, the question is, is a scammer targeting you? Well, anybody can be targeted by the scammer. Okay, so fraud kasi today is on a rise. So with all of this, if I may just use the word criminals, for this can be applicable to not only for businesses, even for individuals as well, mga kaibigan. So according to FTC is Federal Trade Commission, Americans reported 2.8 million cases of fraud. See? And then for those that they victimize, the average that they lose is about $550. So, well, it may sound like it's just a drop in the bucket when you compare it to other frauds that, that impacts businesses, but that's a lot of money already. In fact, businesses could lose. They lost $42 billion just for fraud in 2022. What kind of a business is that, right? My God, right? It's a fraud business. So they lost $42 billion. And 2022 was the worst year ever for fraud. So, well, mga kaibigan, if you are one of those people that got defrauded, it's okay to keep it with yourself. But what I'm trying to say here is many people just feel ashamed or embarrassed that they were tricked by these fraudsters. In fact, all of us will admit today, I will never be a victim of fraud. But the real truth is fraud can affect anyone. So to protect yourself or your family or even your business, you need to know at least the warning signs to look out for. So maybe that's one of the things that we will be talking, or mostly of the things that we will be talking about tonight. So what are those red flags to watch out for, and what to do if you've been the victim of fraud schemes? By the way, what is fraud? And what are the risks attached to on this fraud, right? So fraud is actually a broad legal term. Yes, it's a legal term that refers to situations where someone is intentionally dishonest, okay, in order to receive some kind of benefit from a person or a business or an organization or an entity. And the goal of the fraud is almost right about money or any financial gain, right? So, but the truth is that's not the only reason why someone will try to defraud you or your business or any organization. they could also want some special services or treatments that you wouldn't normally give out to somebody else or to someone, right? So fraudsters can use outright deception to try to trick you, and just to trick you to giving into whatever they want. Or they might be able to use misrepresentation and leave out critical information during application. So they could even pretend to be someone else. I'm sure that you guys have heard about that, fake Facebook page, what have you, and it's actually identity theft. So fraud covers a wide range of different scams and crimes, but almost all examples of fraud fall under two categories. Number one, business fraud. I mentioned that a while ago. So it actually occurs when customers or employees or investors that scam your business out of money or services. The other one is personal fraud. This actually occurs when other person or group or company tricks you in giving up money, services, or some other sensitive information that can be used for identity theft. But both type of fraud, whether it's business or personal, mga kaibigan, it's devastating. And you don't want to be in that position. And who actually wants to be in that position? So again, these are it's divided into two, business and personal fraud. But again, I mentioned a while ago, one of those examples of personal fraud is identity theft, right? So, just diving deep a little bit onto identity theft, it's one of the most, again, devastating, but it's actually common type of a fraud. Identity theft is when a fraudster uses your personal information. Sometimes they empty your bank account, or they take out a loan, or even commit crime. So to do this, they need to get one of those most sensitive personal information that, of course, this includes your bank account, or bank account numbers, and your date of birth and social security number. So that's the reason why be extra careful with to whom you're giving out your social security. I know some of us will always say, oh no, that should be fine. It's only social security. No, that's already a tool to be, of course, to be, to use by a fraudster to start, this identity theft. Some are called synthetic identity theft, but it's not always possible naman to change your social security, even after identity theft. So, cases of identity theft, mga kaibigan, actually doubled in the last 2 years. In fact, just for identity theft, it's almost $6 billion already that were stolen, according to the FTC. Well, what are the warning signs of identity theft? Well, strange charges on your credit cards or bank statements. Sometimes it comes on a very small amount, but you will look at this. It's actually taken out of your account every month anyway. So, of course, it adds up, right? Or missing or unexpected mail. So fraudsters uses a change of address scam to reroute your mail to their address. That's another way of them doing it, using an email. Or it can be calls from creditors for loans or debts that you didn't take out, or maybe suspicious login attempts to your online accounts. So these are just some examples of this identity theft. Okay? Another one is maybe an example of this personal fraud is what you call imposter scams. You actually see this every now and then, the phishing attacks. So fraudsters will often pretend to be someone else in order to get access to your bank accounts or steal your sensitive information. So these imposters can be sent through a spam email. Sometimes, it's a lot of spam emails out there, or it can be text, or it can be phone calls, or it can even happen in person. So these are what you call phishing attacks. So in an imposter scam, mga kaibigan, someone pretends to be someone that for, or maybe someone that you know that you trust. Sometimes, I get those too, and sometimes I wonder, oh, this lady has not connected with me for so long now. Suddenly she's there. So I have a great example of that in previous years, and I started talking in Filipino, and then they responded back in Filipino using a Google Translate Filipino. That's actually not right anyway in any translation, so you would know they're trying to trick you. So that was an example of a friend connecting with me. It can be a family member, or a representative from a business that you work with, or a government agency, just like an IRS. So they'll all ask to confirm password and sensitive information, or threaten you. Mind you guys, they threaten you with legal action if you don't send them like gift cards or wire transfers. This actually makes imposter scams a form of that's what you call a wire fraud. So imposter scams can also happen on online dating sites. So if you're in online dating sites, you would see this imposter scams there. They have this what they call romance scams. The fraudsters creates a fake persona and then tricks you into giving them more information, and then they actually will be asking money for you in return. So the warning signs of imposter scams, they're asking for, of course, sensitive information like passwords or card numbers or your social security. They claim to be maybe from a government agency and threatening action against you, or they ask you to send payments in gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrencies. Their messages contain spelling and grammar mistakes and sketchy visuals. So you would already know that these are imposter scams. Okay. Another fraud that you would want to avoid, mga kaibigan, is credit card fraud or debit card fraud. So credit card fraud is when criminals use your card details to make illegal purchases or create duplicate credit cards in your name. And by the way, guys, I just said it, duplicate credit cards in your name. It can easily happen. And unfortunately, this is easier than ever for scammers to steal credit card numbers. They can use skimmers at vulnerable ATMs, or simply purchase your details on the dark web. There is such a thing, guys. In the dark web, your details are for sale. Of course, research tells you as little as $14, they can actually buy your credit card details. So in recent years, there's also been a rise in they call it familiar fraud, which is when a family member opens a credit card in your name. So those are things that's going to be a red flag that could give you a sign that, hey, something wrong is happening. Debit card fraud is slightly different. A while ago it was a credit card fraud. Now the debit card fraud is slightly different. So in this scam, a fraudster needs to shoulder surf your debit card PIN and get access to your physical card. Once they have both, they can go to an ATM and drain your account. Debit card purchases and withdrawals, mga kaibigan, are also covered by the same federal laws as credit cards. So that means that you're most likely on the hook for any stolen funds. So the warning signs on both credit card and debit card fraud, of course, missing cards or lost or stolen wallet, charges you don't recognize, tiny charges I was mentioning a while ago, but you would see that there's actually a pattern. Someone is actually getting money from you already. So these tiny charges are red flag of credit cards. Scammers use them to verify your credit card numbers before making larger purchases, or it can be a sudden change in your credit rating. So those are some examples of personal personal identity theft, or what you call personal fraud, and how to actually locate or even feel that there's something really wrong. Okay, so another one, it could be, well, mortgage and loan fraud. Loan fraud is when criminals, mga kaibigan, uses your identity to take out fraudulent loans in your name with no intention of paying them back. That's just how it is. So mortgage fraud naman is related to it, but slightly a different kind of scam. So in this example of fraud, mortgage fraud, scammers prey on homeowners in many ways. For example, promising to clear debts and prevent foreclosure for free, or committing deed fraud to steal the equity in your home, or tricking you into being a straw buyer and using your good credit to secure loan, or pressuring you into signing a complicated reverse mortgage that drains your home equity. So, well, sometimes they call it the reverse mortgage scams. So to protect yourself, number one, do you make your due diligence? So check licenses, or understand anything that you're about to sign, and be on the lookout for deals that seems too good to be true. So it's always like that, right? When things are too good to be true. So what are the warning signs of mortgage and loan fraud? So unexpected new loans, or hard credit inquiries on your credit report, or businesses claiming to be able to prevent foreclosure for an upfront fee, or someone attempting to change your home title. Okay. So another fraud that you would want to make sure that it's a red flag to you. This what they call fake check scams. So of course you guys know this already. Fake check scams. I've seen one already. And a type of a bank scam. So in this, fraudsters actually send you check that looks real and ask you to deposit it for them. They'll offer you a percentage of money as a reward, but they only do this after you send them the remainder, your bank, that of course they're always going to give you more than what is actually there, and then your bank will alert you to the fraud and withdraw the full check amount from your account. So, well, surprisingly, fake check scams are one of those few examples of fraud, mga kaibigan, where younger people are actually more at risk because they're not really into that checking transactions, right? So usually they target people in their 20s, and because they are twice as likely as older adults to fall for a fake check scams. Well, this is according to FTC. So what are the warning signs on fake check scams? So receiving a check for more than you requested, someone asks you to deposit a check and wire the money to them, or any unsolicited check. Of course, one day you'll be receiving a check. Hey, where did this come from? I don't even know anything about this one, and you already know why you're receiving it, right? So another scam, kaibigan, is what they call employment scam. So job seekers are commonly targeted for fraudsters, as they're used to giving out personal information as part of their application. So watch out, guys. They actually use this way to get your personal information. So in an employment scam, fraudsters, mga kaibigan, actually create fake job listings and ask you to supply sensitive information like your social security, or they're gonna be even ask you to pay for training, or any equipments that needs on the job before you even start. And after you send them either the ad and the person that you were talking to, now they disappears. So don't instantly trust sites like, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn anyway, but don't just trust them. You just have to do your due diligence too. Or, most people use Indeed. The Better Business Bureau reported, the BBB, that 32% of people who encountered a job scam said it actually originated from Indeed. So you have to make sure that you actually look at it and make your due diligence. So what are the signs of fake employment fraud? So any job that asks you to pay a fee to get hired, that's a red flag already. Okay. So employers asking you to pay for training or equipment before you even start. That's red flag. Suspicious, or again, too good to be true job offers. So job applications that ask for unnecessary information, social security, bank details, employers don't need that. They will only need that once you're hired. So you have to make sure that you become sensitive about these matters. Okay. So another scam is, it could be online fraud and malware. So online fraud is huge. It's a very huge category that includes everything from social media scam to fake phishing websites. But one of the defining feature of online fraud is the use of malware. So malware, mga kaibigan, is a malicious software. That's why it's called malware. It's a malicious software that gives, again, the word is hackers, okay? That gives hackers access to your devices. Yeah, anybody can actually get into your computer. They just have to have this malware and they can actually see whatever is inside your computer. Yes, it can be done. So once they install it, they can see account details, passwords, and other sensitive information that you have inside your computer. Fraudsters tricks you to like downloading malware through a lot of links. It can be spam emails, or just hiding them behind an app. Well, when they hide it behind an app, it's called Trojans. So malwares and Trojans are just one of those things that many emerging cyber hackers that you have to really watch out. I know not all of us are good in looking at this one, but again, the goal of this show anyway is to give you this information. At least now and you're aware. So what are the warning signs on this online fraud and malware? So emails or fake text messages with some suspicious links. We all get that every day, guys. So there are attachments or even QR codes, guys. Okay. So when you hover over a link in an email, it's either a shortened version or doesn't match what the text says. That's another warning signs. Of course, unsecure websites. Only trust websites that use HTTPS : / not HTTP : / So what's the difference? The one that you would want to use are that has the letter S, HTTPS. So, okay, so that's just a something that we all need to learn, and we become vigilant as well with all of this suspicious activities in your computer. Advanced fee scams. So we've heard this too many times, that there are a lot of things that fraud that uses advanced fee scams. A common example of that fraud that's very popular right now is offering a service or benefit for an upfront fee. This is all over the world. If I do this, give me this one first before I start my services. So these services can include lowering interest rate, or canceling debt, or restructuring student loans, or even more exaggerated claims like transferring overseas deposit or transferring inheritance. But once you pay the fee, you'll never get what was promised. Worse, these scammers also try to collect your personal information for the identity theft. And then this is actually just 2 in 1, right there and there. Okay, so advanced fee scams can also include lotteries, sweepstakes. They can use this one to lure people, especially ones that alert that you've won something. How can I win? I never bought a ticket or a lottery, right? So when you didn't even have, you didn't do anything, and suddenly someone's going to say, oh, you won something, but you didn't do anything. So be aware or beware then of collecting any prize if you don't remember entering to any games like that, right? So, well, of course, there are some things that are legitimate, of course, but federal law prohibits spending money to win money. Okay, so any business or service that asks for any upfront fee is a warning sign for advanced fee scams. Before they do any services, a service that make You actually look at a service that makes very unrealistic promises, especially around debt reduction or forgiveness of debt. So, or even asking you to sign a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA before the work. Okay, so those are some scams that you guys should be you should be, of course, be watchful about. And another one could be any Ponzi schemes and investment fraud. Ponzi schemes and investment fraud, it's actually a Ponzi scheme is a kind of an investment fraud. That this actually promises you to help you make more money. So often it's tied to an investment platform like real estate or a new business venture, but your earnings are not real. They're just new funds from new investors, which are needed to pay back the earlier investors. The whole scam blows up when the money runs dry. Again, I'll repeat it, guys, okay? So this is actually a new fund from a new investor. Now, which are needed to pay back the earlier investor. So what it means, guys, so if you give me money, right, and then someone gives me money, this money that the second money that I received, that's the money I'm going to be paying you for, and so forth. And now the whole scam blows up when the money actually starts running dry. So what are the warning signs of investment fraud? Number one, you're promised high returns with little or no risk. That's a red flag. Or returns dry up after an initial large payout. Okay? Or you're pressured to invest or get others to sign up as well. These are what you call Ponzi schemes or investment fraud. Tax return fraud is another one that you should be watchful for. Individuals can commit tax fraud and avoidance, but one of the bigger risks to the average people like us, right, is the tax return fraud. This is a scam where fraudsters, mga kaibigan, they file fake tax returns in your name and pocket the refund check. That's how they do it, really. So the warning signs for tax refund frauds are, you receive unfamiliar tax documents with your name on them. The IRS says that you've already filed a tax return when you have not, right? So, and then your tax preparer won't sign your return or can't explain discrepancies. So these are just samples, guys, of personal fraud. Okay. So I can give you one or two more that you need to watch out for. Healthcare fraud is another one. This is what you call medical identity theft. Healthcare fraud is a common example of a fraud that doesn't directly target your money. Instead, criminal uses your health insurance information to pay for medical bills. So for them to be able to do that, they need your protected health information, your PHI, and unfortunately, these documents have become a prime target for hackers. And millions of medical insurances documents have stolen and leaked in just recent data breaches. So, what are the warning signs of healthcare fraud? So, you receive unusual hospital bills or insurance claims, and something that you don't really know your medical insurance too. The provider sends you a change of address confirmation that you didn't ask for. Another one, okay, or an insurance claims that's actually been denied. And maybe another scam that you need to be watchful for are the cryptocurrency account fraud. The cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, this actually have made thousands of people into overnight millionaires. But anything that promises to get you rich quickly scheme, can be a target for fraudsters. Some crypto scams to watch out for include, number one, fake crypto websites. And nowadays it's easy to create websites, and this will actually steal your investment. Pump and dump schemes. And I mentioned a while ago, the phishing attacks, designed to gain access to your crypto wallet and transfer out your coins. So crypto scams are also running a rampant on this app called Telegram. There's a lot of them there, So warning signs and of a cryptocurrency fraud. Well, they of course, the promises, of course, of guaranteed huge returns, a romantic interest online account, or random caller insists on the value of a specific cryptocurrency, or there are a few or very vague details about what the cryptocurrency does or how it will give you a return. Mga kaibigan, I can talk over and over again with regard to a lot of this personal fraud that you need to be watchful for. Again, mga kaibigan, it's all about just being vigilant or giving yourself due diligence before you get into something. And this is, in fact, can happen to anybody. So if you're a victim of a fraud, maybe you need to do this as soon as possible. Again, fraud is an emotional crime. As of course it targets financials, but there's a lot of emotions attached to it. It can be, you can feel embarrassed about it, that to admit yourself that you were tricked or scammed. It's very hard, guys, and I understand that. So, and then the first thing that you need to do is call your bank, if that happens to you, or call your credit card company if you've been a victim of the financial fraud. Definitely they'll shut down your account and help you set up new ones for you. And then another thing, place a fraud alert with any of the 3 credit bureaus. So consider, of course, freezing credit or for added security as well. If your identity has been stolen, file an identity theft report with the FTC at the website is identitytheft.gov. Okay. So again, if your identity has been stolen, you need to file identity theft report with the FTC at identitytheft.gov. Now, another thing is contact your local law enforcement and make a call to a federal anti-fraud hotline. Okay, so another thing that you need to do is sign up for credit monitoring to protect your accounts and minimize further damages. Okay, so again, of course, it's a website, internet, etc. You have to update all your passwords and enable multi-factor authentication, with, of course, with an authenticator app. If a fraudster has access to one of your online accounts, they probably have access to more, I'm telling you, right? So scan all your devices for malware and install antivirus software to your computers. And of course, another thing is, read and just be vigilant and protect yourself at all costs from future fraud. So fraud, mga kaibigan, unluckily or regrettably, isn't going to slow down. It's just going to be there. For peace of mind, consider other agencies that can help you, look out and protect you from identity theft and fraud protection services. Okay. So again, mga kaibigan, is just something that, I hope could help you avoid or get out of that situation. At least you now know how to avoid all of these scams. Okay, again, my name is Enrico Pobre. You're listening to In My Toolbox. Hanggang sa muli, mga kaibigan, I'm signing off. Thank you.